Good grief, Charlie Brown. We've all heard Lucy from the Peanuts comic strip say that to Charlie Brown. But what if grief could be good grief? What would that mean for families? Hi, Nancy Beauvair here with Agape and NEXsteps. This week, I wanted to talk a little bit about grief. Now, when we lose somebody that we love, grief is something that is unavoidable. But it doesn't have to be heavy grief. It could be good grief. And how do you get that good grief? Well, it starts with good, proper estate planning. When you have proper estate planning, there's going to be less room for disputes, there's going to be less confusion, and there's going to be more clarity. And that's what good grief is all about. So, why does planning matter? Well, without planning, you've got confusion, you've got outdated wills, you've got lost paperwork, you've got executors completely overwhelmed, not knowing where to look. But with proper planning, you've got updated wills, you've got named beneficiaries, you've got lists of where all of your assets are, you've got all the proper paperwork, which makes for clearer processes for your executor, which allows them space for their grief while they're dealing with the often overwhelming requirements of acting as executor. Lots of times, people think that they don't need to do estate planning because they don't have very much stuff. But remember, it's not the size of the estate that matters. It's the clarity that matters. Let me share a real life story with you. Now, the story I'm going to share here on the video is different than the one that is in the article that's on the website. So let me tell you about what happened when David passed away suddenly. He hadn't been sick. He was relatively healthy. And out of the blue, he just passed away. Of course, his family was all in total shock. They were reeling. They didn't know how they were going to do without their husband and their father and their uncle and their brother. They were just so shook up. And his wife had been named as executor. When she started looking into it, she found that he didn't have any paperwork done. He hadn't done a will in 15 years. Now that left lots of confusion. She was left looking for assets, finding bank accounts, following up with his work to see if he had any insurance policies through work, looking for life insurance policies, finding passwords for his online accounts. It was just a complete mess. Meanwhile, she's trying to keep it together for the kids. She's trying to keep it together for herself. She's trying to settle the estate. She's trying to deal with all of the legal and technical issues that come with the passing of a loved one. And on top of that, she didn't have time to process her own emotions. It nearly broke her. Now, let's contrast David's story with Shirley's story. Shirley was a single mom. She'd been divorced 40 years by the time she passed away, and she had 2 grown adult children. She had named an executor and an alternate on her updated will. She had ensured that she had named beneficiaries wherever she could on things like investment accounts and insurance policies, which simplify the whole process of settling the estate, but also most of those items will pass outside of probate, which also simplifies things. Shirley also made sure that she had everything compiled in a binder. She had a list of all of her accounts, all of her passwords, all of her usernames. She had a list of all of her assets, where they could be found, and she had the original copy of her will and her enduring power of attorney and her medical directive, all in a fireproof safe in her home that her executor could access. Now, of course, the grief wasn't any less for those children than it was for David's children. But the difference is that there was no chaos, there was no confusion. There was space for grief. There was room to process those emotions, because although settling an estate is always going to take time, the simpler that it can be done, the better organized it is, the easier it is on those you leave behind. So how do you create good grief? Well, you do that by your proper planning. And here's the things that you need to do for that. You need to make sure that you have an updated will. Actually, in case of incapacity planning, you should also make sure that you have your enduring power of attorney and your medical directive in place. Because remember, sometimes people don't die, but they become incapacitated and are unable to make decisions or take care of things. And if you haven't got everything in place and you do lose capacity, well, then it's too late to make a will. You need to name and prepare your executor. Make sure that they know what is involved, that they agree to take on that role. Make sure that they understand that this is going to take hours and hours of their time, probably over the course of at least 12 to 18 months. Make sure that they know where to find the important paperwork that you have. Make sure that they know how to find your digital information. Everybody does so much online. There's online banking, social media accounts. Make sure your executor knows where to find all of those passwords so that they can take care of those kinds of things for you as well. And another thing that you can and probably should do is reach out and get good, sound advice. Whether it is while you're preparing your documents, because you don't know what you don't know. There are a lot of nuances that go into preparing things like your will, naming your beneficiaries, those types of issues that without somebody asking the right questions, they're things that we just take for granted that happen every day in our lives, and they don't seem weird to us, but it can create complications when you do pass away and your will is enacted. So get advice for your preparation. But then your executor also does not need to feel alone. There are certified executor advisors out there like me, and I'm happy to sit and help prepare your documents. I'm also more than happy to help your executor when the time comes to go through the process, streamline things, and help them find their way so that they have room for their grief. You know, there's always going to be grief. Following these steps, reaching out for help, it's not going to eliminate the grief, but it can help shape the grief from hard grief to good grief. I invite you to hop over to my website and learn more, read the article. I've got the link in the description box here. And again, if you have any questions about anything, please reach out at any time. I'm more than happy to help you. Thanks for joining me this week. I look forward to sharing more with you again. Take care and bye for now.